All right, let's talk about this NBA trade deadline. Now, I want to let you know I'm breaking this up into two videos: Eastern Conference, Western Conference. So I'm not talking about every single trade super in depth. That's just not. First up for the Eastern Conference, the Cleveland Cavaliers. I think they made an amazing move going to get DeAndre Hunter from the Hawks. It looks like the Hawks are just having a fire sale and they don't really care what's going on. Like they're just giving away all their pieces. They're acting like they don't have a superstar in Trae Young, and he gets a lot of disrespect anyways. Like I don't think he will be respected as he should be till he gets out of Atlanta. They just don't know what's going on. They don't care. He has to go. For the Cavs, I think it was an amazing move. You give Karis LeVert, you move him around and some other pieces. It's perfect to have DeAndre Hunter. When he's on and he's shooting and he's playing well, it's a perfect additional piece. He's one of those guys that's a really good glue guy. Like he's going to play a role and he's going to be a key piece. I can see him making some key shots and showing up in the playoffs. He's not the guy that you can depend on to go and get 30 or even 20, but he's the guy that is going to make that timely shot, get that rebound, And I think that's what the Cavs need. They need more depth. They didn't need another big superstar player. They got Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, Jared Allen, Mobley is killing it. Like they have an incredible team. A lot of young, really solid pieces. I think that depth was just a glaring hole for them. And now that they've addressed that, I think that they'll be fine. Now, I still think in the playoffs, we'll have to really see what we get from them, when it comes to the postseason. We haven't seen this team really go at it in the postseason full strength we did last year, but I think we need more, right? I think for every NBA team, when they're young and they have a whole core of young players and there aren't a lot of vets around, that are like star vets, right? We have to kind of give them a year or two to grow into that. Okay, we can now perform at a high level in the playoffs consistently. You know, every team goes through those kind of growing pains. Remember the Warriors had to go through that, right? So I don't know what to expect from the Cavs in the playoffs, but I do like that they went out and got more depth. That was smart. Now the Bucks went and moved off of Chris Middleton, and I just want to say I feel sorry for him, man. Chris, I'm praying for you, bro, because I feel sorry for any player when they have to go and move to DC to play for the Wizards. Like living in DC is probably incredible, but playing for the Wizards, man, it just seems like a poverty franchise that doesn't know what's going on. They're in the depths of the NBA, and they probably won't ever leave, honestly. Like this, it just doesn't seem like that team, that organization as a whole, is making any progress to move to the next level. I mean, think about it. The Wizards have just picked second last year, right? They have rookie right now, Alex Sarr. And I mean, is he in the rookie of the year conversation? Yeah, kind of, but he probably won't win. Like, this team isn't going anywhere. And so for the Bucks, it was great for them to go and get Kyle Kuzma because Chris Middleton just, he's not himself. He's not playing well. The injuries have slowed him down a lot. And I don't know if he can recover from that. And they were paying him a ton of money. And with Kuzma, I think you can expect more from Kuz. But he's been playing terrible in Washington. And that's, again, for me, sometimes you watch these players that play for terrible teams, and they play terrible because they're playing for a terrible team, right? Like, you can't analyze their defense that much because everybody on the floor is receiving bad coaching. There are two or three bad defenders out there. And so that brings the entire team's defensive rating down. You know what I'm saying? So I think Kuzma could be better. He could play better, but like, best shooting. Is Damon Giannis, playing and going at it, going to help him get more open shots? And is he going to make those shots? These are things I think the Bucks are hoping they can get out of Kuzma. Because I think if he can thrive in that role of being the third or fourth man, sometimes a fifth man, he'll be all right. But sometimes I think Kuz mentally goes to this place where he's a superstar. You know what I mean? Like he goes to like the superstar LA Fitness, like can't nobody stop me. And it's easy to do that when you play for a bad team. In Washington, who else is there with him? Jordan Poole and rookie Alex Sarr. Jordan Poole's doing the same thing. So like both of these guys are just taking turns playing hero ball. And so now he has to go to a real team where he's expected to play hard on defense and not take crazy shots. And like it's a whole different thing now. I don't know if Kuzma can adjust. I hope he can. And I think the Bucks might be able to make a good run here. Now I gotta get back on the Hawks because this is gonna be a big story in like a year. It should be now. Like I'm shocked that players like Trae Young don't demand trades. Like how is he not demanding a trade? And I'm not encouraging unprofessionalism or anything like that, but for him to be as good as he is, to never get the All Star nod, to never have any help out there. Like he has what 45-year-old Clint Capella. He had Bogdanovich, who was solid. You know, Bogdanovich can hoop. He can go. But they just traded him away to the Clippers. What are we doing? And it's like they traded away DeAndre Hunter, like I said earlier. They trade away Bogdanovich. So Trey Young is left there playing with nobody and they're getting draft capital. I don't get why these teams want to continue to start over. They just had a top pick. You just picked first. They got Zachariah Rashazer. I hope I'm saying his name right. And it's like this. Some of these teams just want to continue to get younger and younger and younger. Sometimes you need the age, you need the experience, you need the skill set so your team can evolve. If you're constantly trying to get depth, it just won't work because everybody's young, everybody's inexperienced. There's no older vets in the locker room. And if it's just Trey Young by himself, the 6 foot tall, 180-pound Trey Young, he can't be that full on leader that you need him to be. You need another big man in there, another veteran there that's going to show up and say, yeah, this is how things go. This is how it's supposed to be done. It's so weird because just a couple of years ago, the Hawks were like right there on the doorstep, right? They beat Philly when, Ben Simmons had his meltdown. I thought the Hawks were going to, continue to evolve, but they're taking steps backwards. They're going in the wrong direction. And I don't know how Trey Young is still there. I don't know if he'll still be there when his contract is up. I can't see that happening simply because the team doesn't seem like they have his best interests at heart. They don't seem to be focused on winning. Like if I'm here and I'm the superstar player and I'm killing it, you shouldn't be trading away my solid pieces for more draft compensation. Like I'm gonna make a video on this, but I think getting a bunch of draft picks is overrated because most teams cannot draft. Most, like a large majority of teams, make terrible, terrible picks consistently. So if you can get a quality player or keep a quality player over a draft pick, I think you should. It doesn't make sense to trade away a player you know is good for a pick that might be good later on. Some other Eastern Conference teams that made some moves, Dennis Schroeder got shopped around literally all day on the trade deadline day, but he did end up going to the Pistons. I think that could be helpful, but even he might end up on a buyout, so that wouldn't surprise me at all. The Pacers went and sent Wiseman to the Raptors. The Raptors just stockpiling young, athletic, longer guys, and they've gotten a lot of these guys to show up and play well, so possibly they could get him to show up. I don't know. The Wizards finally gave Valanciunas up, and he went to the Kings. And this one just irritates me because all the news reports and the rumor mill and all of that stuff, it gets on my nerves sometimes. Because we all know Jonas Valanciunas was never worth a first-round pick. Never. But for some reason, when a lot of these guys are being shopped and in the conversation with certain teams, like the Celtics or sometimes the Knicks, it used to be like this with the Miami Heat. It's definitely like this with the Lakers. When certain teams are in the conversation, then the thing that what the team is asking for is always ridiculously high to make this player's value look even higher. We know Valanciunas was never worth that much, so that's why it wasn't even a conversation with the Kings. The Raptors did get Brandon Ingram. I think that is huge for Brandon Ingram because what is his contract situation going to look like? Pretty soon here, he's going to be one of those guys asking for the max deal, but I don't think Ingram has played himself into that. But I think because of the way the Raptors are set up and the kind of guys they like to have, he would fit perfectly there. And I think they're going to pay him some money. Like I don't know if it'll be super max money, the biggest contract he can get, but I think Brandon Ingram is going to get paid. Like he's going to be one of those guys where we get that notification in summer, like what? He's going to be one of those guys. So I think with all of these moves made, the Eastern Conference is still kind of the same. I don't see too many teams moving around in the standings because of these moves. Like I think the Cavs, if anything, have solidified themselves as a real contender. Boston didn't do too much to, improve their depth or anything. I don't think they have to. They just kind of got to get over that hump of, okay, we're trying to go back to back. Like it's a mental thing for Boston, in my opinion. I think the Knicks are playing decently well. They don't have a lot of depth, but I think they'll be fine in the playoffs against a lot of those Eastern Conference teams. Karl Anthony Towns just has to learn how to play out of a double team because once you double him, he is done. Mentally, he's almost checked out of the game completely. Indiana, the Bucks, I think they can really improve. I think the Pistons are a sleeper team, man. They are just so interesting to me. Cade Cunningham should be in MVP conversations. He's playing really well. So I think the Eastern Conference is a little more competitive, but it's so many bottom feeder teams, man, that these top teams can kind of coast their way. They could just skate to the finals if they want to this year. They could just go. It won't be all that difficult. It won't be complicated because it's not that much competition. A lot of these teams are one dimensional now. Once you shut them down, it's over. It's a wrap. So what do you guys think? Do you think that the Cavs got it? Are they still in first place? Are they gonna keep first place? I know they're there in the standings, but do you think they can keep first place? And then what do you think about, the Pacers, the Bucks, all of these teams that are kind of in the mix? Can they turn things around and shoot up those rankings a bit more? I don't know, man. I'm excited to see the Eastern Conference play out this season. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. I'm Chris. I'll see you next time.